But before we do that, I want to remind everybody about Monarch Money. Have you guys ever checked your bank account and wondered, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth. When I moved out, I started using Monarch Money because I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now, I budget smarter and I save more. So to take control of your finances with Monarch Money, you can use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
So Deontay Johnson did a podcast, and you picked out a quote from the podcast that you wanted us to react to, and it's about who Diontae Johnson thinks will win the Browns quarterback battle. So what did Diontae Johnson, the Browns' newest receiver, say when asked that question?
Yeah, we can take the quote full here, Steve. He said, I've been seeing Kenny going like right now with the ones, then Joe will come in, and I think they're probably going to roll with him just to see how he's coming off of Philly and having a Super Bowl. So I think they're going to stick with Kenny for the preseason, and then you know that they can live with Joe and what he brings to the table. So that got me thinking last night, does Deontay Johnson think that Kenny and Joe are both going to be here together? Like, with no mention of the rookies, it's been kind of an understanding that one of the veterans is going to go. And I'm curious to what your guys' thoughts on that are.
I've come around on that. I think all four quarterbacks are going to be on the roster.
I've said that before too. I think that one of the rookies ends up on a practice squad with the Browns. That's just my thought on it. The Pickett one, if one player is not on the roster, I think it'd be Pickett. But then you hear Diontae Johnson say that Kenny Pickett's going to be the starting quarterback. So I don't really know what to believe. I think there's certainly some bias in his commentary.
I mean, he played with Pickett in Pittsburgh.
Of course.
He had one of his more successful seasons with Pickett in Pittsburgh. Pickett likes to throw short passes, get the ball out of his hands quickly, which is exactly what Diontae Johnson does best as a route runner, create separation. So I can see why he favors Kenny Pickett, the guy he has some connection with. But I have no good feel, Jason. I would default to you from what you've heard on who you think will be the starting quarterback. And it seems that you keep thinking from who you've spoken to that the Browns are infatuated with something with Kenny Pickett.
I've been
might
on
get the first shot.
Yeah, I think it's Pickett, and not because I think you guys are right. I think Deontay's probably siding up with the guy that he's most comfortable with or has a past relationship with. I don't know that I'd put a ton of stock into what Johnson said, but yet at the same time, that sort of aligns with where my thinking is on this. I think it's Kenny Pickett. Doesn't mean he's going to start 17 games. And if he completely falls apart in training camp and looks terrible and Joe outplays him, then it'll be Joe. But I've been pretty consistent. Yeah, I thought Joe threw it the best from what we saw in OTAs. I thought Joe was the best pure passer out there, but I still think Kenny's going to win the job.
We've said time and time again that we need to see the rookie quarterbacks out there to get some chance to evaluate what they potentially could bring to this organization moving forward. Do the Browns have to give Kenny Pickett a shot like that to make that determination? Or could you see from your eyes in practice plus his footage from Pittsburgh, does he not need that same set of, I guess, game reps in this Cleveland system, Dustin, to make that evaluation?
No, I think he needs game reps to find out what this guy's going to bring to the table. You know, Flacco's been here before. You know what this guy can do in this offense. Pickett, this is a relatively unknown. You got a guy who was a first-round pick who, you know, still has some upside because he hasn't played a ton in this league. So I definitely think they're going to want to see this guy play meaningful reps. You know, preseason obviously, and then into the regular season. You want to see what this guy can do before you cut him loose. Flacco is Flacco is going to be the default starter at some point, unless one of these guys plays. I mean, if one of these guys plays amazing, like Shedeur or Gabriel could play great too. Who the hell knows? But if one of those guys plays great, it's a different story. I think it'll end up being Flacco as the starter for Week 1.
I think Flacco is the safety blanket.
Yeah,
I think he's like I said. I think Pickett's the starter, and if they come to realize that the rookies aren't prepared, they can't do it, and they don't like what they see out of Pickett, then I think they go to Joe. But I just don't see the benefit in playing a 40-year-old Joe Flacco. I just don't think there's any upside to it. So I think he's here in case all else fails. And then, okay, Joe, Go clean up the mess.
It's just, if you're trying to win games and you think Flacco's your best shot to win games, then you have to play Joe Flacco. But it's counterproductive to everything else it feels like the team's trying to accomplish this season. Like you have one strand, we need to win games. We went 3-14 last year. We got to rebuild some winning culture. Like that's going this way. And then we need to evaluate the young quarterbacks. We need to see if Shedeur, Dillon, if Kenny can be that long-term answer at the position. So we don't have to use one of our first 2-round picks or trade that second first-round pick plus our current pick to move up to get the quarterback. You have two trains going in opposite directions that are kind of pulling against each other at one time. If you start Flacco and if he's your safety blanket, then once you pull it out, there's no kind of putting it back. And that's why I think Pickett, if he starts and he's not good, then you put in Flacco and it buys more time for the rookie quarterbacks to come along.
They put themselves in a kind of a tough spot, to be honest with you, because, I mean, there's only so many reps to go around in the preseason. And when you've got two rookies who were drafted relatively high and the one who was drafted lowest looks like he's the best so far.
And the fans want him the most, too.
So it's going to put you in a tough spot to are you going to take reps away from Dillon Gabriel in the preseason? You're going to take reps away from Kenny Pickett? I mean, Flacco, we all just said, is kind of the default guy because he knows what he's doing. I'm be very, very fascinated to see how this whole thing plays out in terms of how they divvy up these reps for these guys once these exhibition games and these scrimmages, intra-squad practices happen. How many reps will Gabriel, Shedeur, and Pickett get versus Flacco?
I asked this question yesterday, and you guys weren't here, so I'm going to ask you this question now. But G. Bush, Tyvis, and Bull all opined on it. It's hard enough to develop one young quarterback at a time. Like it takes an entire, it's like raising a child. It takes an entire village, the coaching staff, the offensive coordinators, quarterback coach. All of that goes into turning quarterback prospect into hopefully the pillar of your franchise moving forward. When you have two guys, and even maybe three if you want to include Kenny Pickett in that scenario, is there enough resources and reps and time from Stefanski, Reese, Musgrave, the whole offensive staff, to nurture two and develop two quarterbacks at once?
No.
Probably not.
How many reps does the starter get in a game week?
90 in practice.
In practice, 99%, 98%,
90.
Okay, so it was a little lower than I thought, but still.
Yeah, but it's a lot. It's most of them.
Yeah. So how are you going to do? I mean, when you're trying to get two quarterbacks ready, you're not going to have either quarterback ready. So, but again, no franchise ever tries to develop two quarterbacks at once for the long-term outlook. Like, it just doesn't happen. You may stumble into it like a Kirk Cousins RG3 type situation where they came in together, one got hurt, and the other one just sort of continued to progress. But they weren't trying to develop both of those guys at the same time. This is a one-year stopgap with the Browns. I am looking at this as hey, we've got a year to kill before we can go get the guy we want. We might as well bring these guys in and see if we run into anything. And if one of these guys starts to surge ahead, I think you'll see them throw all their resources into that guy. But no, you can't develop two or three. I think that's crazy because there's such a finite amount of time, and these teams hardly ever even practice anymore. They spend a ton of time in the film room, but actually on the field, in pads, it's so limited now to what it was even 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So there's just not enough reps and there's not enough time. And I don't even think that the guy that they believe is the long-term future is here right now.
It's a
Probably not.
They're hoping that they struck lightning in a bottle with Pickett, Shedeur, or Dillon Gabriel. But until then, they're just chipping and putting and buying time until they get the guy who they really want, whoever that is, at the top of the first round next year. Until proven otherwise. That's why I said before, like, when they left the draft, it was very clear what they were telling you. I don't care what they actually said. What they were telling you was our quarterback is in next year's draft.
Yeah.
So now it's on these guys to change their minds. They have 10 months to do it.
With limited reps. And a 4 quarterback competition.
Until one of them starts to emerge, and then you throw all your resources behind them.
What do you think it would take to reach that emerging status? Is it something we see in practice?
I don't think we will know. I mean, Dustin, you can answer that better than me. I think the coaches will know it and the players will know it based on practice. But we don't have enough access to see it.
Yeah, those guys will have 1,000 reps of seeing it in practice where they know, oh, okay, this guy just definitely has the momentum. He's making all the right decisions. He's making the right throws. Like, he's just executing at a high level. Players know.
Yep.
Coaches know.
Yep.
I mean, you can't hide it. The film don't lie.
Yep.
Was there ever a time in your career, Dustin, where maybe it wasn't the backup versus the starter, but it was two guys competing for a backup spot, or not even necessarily a quarterback, could be another position, where it was just evident from the get-go, that dude's better than this dude? Yeah,
I told Bolt this story years ago when we were in Buffalo. It was like Trent Edwards, I think Fitzpatrick might have been there at the time, or there was another quarterback that was sort of competing, and there was a kid, Jabron Hamden from Indiana. We played against him.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. And he was like probably the best quarterback we had. Never played.
Really?
But like we were all like laughed about it because like, dude, the best guy is the third guy.
Wow. Why did he never get a chance?
I don't know. Because he was like a late round pick, or undrafted.
Were you?
And we had a Trent Edwards was a third round pick, so they gave him the opportunities.
Yeah. Were you there for Zwick and Troy?
Yeah. So they were both freshmen, redshirt freshmen, on the 02 team, and so I was with those guys for.
So 04.
Excuse me. No, they were not on. Was Troy on the 02 team? Redshirt?
No, I don't think so. Well, maybe. But like 04
Either way,
was like.
But 04 was my senior year,
yeah.
and it was Troy and Justin.
What was that like watching those guys? Could you tell one better than the other? Because, I mean, Troy eventually took the job and ran with it, but could you tell earlier on?
I mean, it was close early on. In fact, Justin probably was the better, like, prototypical quarterback.
Yeah.
But just didn't make the plays in the big game. And then obviously remember that Texas thing the next year.
Yeah.
That happened. That was unfortunate for his career. But yeah, I mean, it was close.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And you had a question?
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking about the resources going through the four quarterbacks. Throw the Browns aside or anything, it's kind of sucks that they're almost setting some of these rookies up for failure, because if they don't have the resources and they got drafted here, like, what do you do if you're Dillon Gabriel or Sanders and you can do it at that point? Like, I know you have to prove it, and you can prove it in camp and everything, but where do you go from there? Are the Browns setting these guys up for failure?
I mean, possibly, but you can't worry about that. Like, life's not fair.
Yeah.
You got 1 year. This is your opportunity, and these are not like guys who only started 1 year of college. They're 21 years old. They
both played at least 4 years of college.
I mean, Dillon's made over 60 starts. He's 24 years old. Shedeur's 23. These are men, and they've got a ton of experience. So, this is your opportunity to be an NFL starting quarterback. Take advantage of it. And if it is unfair to them, I'm sorry, life isn't fair. But where else would you rather be? In Cleveland with an opportunity to win the starting job, or would you rather be a backup to Lamar Jackson, where you're not, barring injury, you are the backup and you are not going to get an opportunity? So at least these guys have an opportunity in front of them.
I was going to say that. It's a weird quarterback situation to be drafted into. I'm sure Dillon wishes Shedeur wasn't here. I'm sure Shedeur wishes Dillon wasn't there, so they would be the lone rookie.
Sure.
But as far as quarterback competitions go, it is an open quarterback competition. And how many truly open quarterback competitions are there across the league right now? 2? Cleveland.
I mean, I guess.
And New Orleans.
I was going to say New Orleans.
I mean, if you could name another one, maybe I'm not. The Giants. They don't know.
Okay.
It's 3. So like, if you're not on one of those 3 teams and you're a rookie quarterback, you ain't having a chance to start.
Right.
Like, you're competing to be the backup and not the third string. And if I was a guy, especially like Dillon Gabriel, who played at 6 years of college at 3 different schools, has been in every different system you can imagine, and a guy like Shedeur who started in HBCU, went to Colorado, had all this success, and I think I can play, I want to go have a chance to compete. So on the one hand, and you may be right, in a way it's setting them up to fail. On the other hand, it's giving them an immediate chance to succeed in ways other franchises couldn't give them.
And this isn't the end. Even if it doesn't work out for those guys here in Cleveland, they'll get other opportunities. They can latch on with other teams, and they'll get other chances. So if it doesn't work here, there's 31 other teams that eventually, now again, you may not have that opportunity right away to be a starter like you were here, but it also might be a better fit for you depending on where you land.
And we talked about the fit too. Stefanski and Shedeur, particular author of the draft, Todd McShay, said, that was a perfect fit. I think more than organizationally plays a part in it, but more than necessarily your talent, where you get drafted is so. You've talked about this a million times. Like, where you get drafted is equally as important as how early you get drafted. Yeah. Sometimes it's better to be a second-round pick in the right spot than a late first-round pick in the wrong spot. And those guys who fall into the right spots traditionally have much more successful, prolonged careers than a guy who could flame out with more talent who was with the wrong coach, who never was able to maximize his talent.
Wrong coach, wrong team, wrong organization. I mean, guys all the time.
I mean, you were in that situation.
I felt like I was in a situation like that. I mean, I don't want to make tons of excuses, but I went to a team that was like really polar opposites of what Ohio State was when I was there. You know, in terms of the guys and the team chemistry and character and all those things. It just wasn't really a bunch of good guys.
Yeah.
But I didn't fit in, and I think I had a bad attitude about it, and probably ended up getting my ass out of there because of that very reason.
I mean, what kind of career does Tim Couch have if he goes to Philly?
Yeah, exactly.
And if Donovan McNabb is drafted number 1 overall, does he get the same injuries? Does he have the career that he had? That's an easy. I think Donovan was 4th in that draft. That's an easy 1-4 flip. You can't really. I think Achilles Smith went too. You can't really use that as an example, but Donovan and Tim, I've thought about that before. What kind of career would Tim Couch have had he gone to an established team?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could even look at like last year, for example. What if Jaden Daniels went 1, Caleb Williams goes 2?
Yeah.
I mean, does Jaden Daniels have that same success he had in Washington, in Chicago, with a coaching staff that clearly was not prepared and equipped to handle a young, rookie, franchise-caliber quarterback? Does Caleb Williams with Cliff Kingsbury, his college OC, come in and light up the league like Jaden Daniels did, as opposed to going to Chicago where he had an offensive coordinator, which has been come out and confirmed that didn't even tell him what to watch on tape, like made him do it himself. So like it's all about situation. So you could say on the one hand, I think it's fair to ask, like, are the Browns setting these guys up to fail? I think it's also presenting an opportunity that they may not be able to get elsewhere, which kind of creates this imperfect balance that is a 4-quarterback battle as we enter training camp.